Hello guys, welcome to Redditor's Revenge. Here we post amazing revenge stories daily. And if you want more content like this, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. Moving on to today's first story. I work for a fairly large company which specializes in institutional dorm furniture, decorative wall panels, and medical casework. Think college furniture, walls, and the cabinets that go in hospitals and schools. I started working with the company at the end of 2018 as a CNC machinist in the dorm division. I picked it up quickly and learned how to efficiently operate every machine there, with a few exceptions: edge banding, and one of the saws, as I was never given the opportunity to go learn them. After spending 2 years in the dorm, there was an opening on the casework side of things. I would be the only CNC router operator versus there being 8 of us at the dorm. I thought, great. The new position, better pay, and I'll be closer to what I love to do. Oh, how wrong I was. The interview process went well, and I started training under the current operator. Let's call him Jeff. Jeff was an older gentleman about 50, and the coworker that was working with him was about 70. We'll call him Mike. Jeff and Mike were great guys, showed me the ropes of how casework operated, and Jeff trained me on the machine. Now this machine was way different from what I have run in the past. Used to be a CNC, manual machinist at a hydraulic shop, lathe, mill, everything. But a bit more involved than what I ran in the dorm. After my first day with them, the supervisor, we'll call him David, called me to the office, and the conversation started out asking how I was doing, and if I was being trained correctly, and the answers were all yes. We got to talking about my position in the department, and he brought up that I was going to be a secondary operator so Jeff or Mike could take a vacation. I thought, okay, it'll be fine, and finished the conversation with small talk more about my past experience than anything else. 2 weeks go by, and David comes and talks to me. He wants to see how I do running the machine by myself, without any help, meaning I would be editing, loading up programs, and labeling, unloading parts of the machine. I said sure, so the next Monday he sends Jeff and Mike to the dorm to work over there for a week. Now, the machine I'm running takes sheet goods in a range of sizes from 4x8 to 5x12, routes, drills, and cuts out panels for cabinets, and offloads onto a conveyor for labeling and unloading onto carts to take to other work centers. It's a one-person job if you're fast, but a two-person job if not. Jeff was slow with the computer, and Mike was just slow overall. That week goes by, and it went off without a hitch. I averaged 50 to 60 sheets a day as one person, with zero scrap, reworks from the machine. Jeff and Mike averaged 25 to 35 sheets a day. David, my supervisor, saw this and wanted another week. I agreed and said sure, worked the next week by myself, and that Friday told me he fired Jeff and Mike for underperformance. A dick moves on his part, because if I knew that he was going to do that in the first place, I wouldn't have taken the job. But I see where he's coming from. Why have 2 guys working for $12 each, where I can hire one guy to do double the work of 2 people? It sucks, but I go ahead and stay with the department. In 4 months I only got a 25-cent raise, which brought my pay to $12.25. At this point, I have been a CNC machinist for 6 years, and with the company for almost 3. I started out at $11.75. After working for a few more months, I realized that I could never take vacation time, as I was the only person in the entire company that knew how to run this machine. The only 2 people that knew how have been fired for months. And I should be getting paid more for what I'm doing. Whenever they have a custom part they need to be made, I program it and run it all at the machine. No need to take it through engineering. Haven't had a scrap part in months, as I pay attention to the programs and edit them when necessary to prevent loss of vacuum. This is where the revenge starts. I go to David on Friday and have a talk with him about pay. Lay out all I do, from productivity to minimizing rework costs, using fall-off, scrap, extra sheets of material wherever I can, to working through breaks when I didn't have to meet production goals. This all fell on empty ears. 2 months and I've started putting my resume out there just looking for bites. I have a couple of offers come in, but they wanted me to move or weren't in the job field I wanted. I go back to David and talk with him about pay, and yet again it falls on deaf ears. We have 9 projects coming that need to be finished before we leave for Christmas, and they're big jobs. 600 to 700 cabinets each. In our meeting, we were told to expect to work 50 to 60-hour weeks, cut down on breaks, and essentially run ourselves ragged. Duck that, I don't get paid enough for this. I start hardcore looking for a job at this point that will pay me what I am worth. I land on a local cabinet shop that is willing to pay me $18 plus per hour, plus overtime and double pay on holidays if we have to work them. Full benefits, the whole 9 yards. I write up and print my letter of resignation, in case what I want to do next doesn't go to plan. Monday rolls around, and at the end of the day, I walk into David's office and ask to talk to him. The conversation went like this. David.
What can I do for you?
I was looking to see what y'all could do about getting me a raise. I'm going above and beyond for the company, but I've had several offers thrown my way from others, and the one I'm thinking about is willing to pay me almost double what I'm getting here.
Really now? So what do you want us to do?
The offer I have is for $18 plus per hour, full benefits, everything. I would like to stay with the company, but if y'all can't come close or match them, I'll have to consider leaving.
Let me talk to the production manager.
David walks out, gets the PM on the phone, and talks with him for about 10 minutes before he comes back in.
So I talked with my boss, and the most we could do is a 50-cent raise. Would that be enough?
I think you just answered my question. Effective Friday, I will no longer be an employee of X company, 1 week. I hand him my letter of resignation and walk out to go home. I already had the position at Y company to start immediately, but wanted to give X company a week to get stuff sorted. The next week, they were scrambling to find someone willing to work for such low pay and under such a workload. They were pulling their hair out. Finally, after 3 days they pulled someone from the department for me to train. I tried my best to teach him. Gave him notes and walked him through how to do what I do, everything, but he couldn't understand basic computer commands. Production ground to a halt. With me training this guy, we were doing max 15 to 20 sheets a day, having trouble doing tooling changes, and being unable to read a caliper, let alone a tape measure. This department was about to be destroyed from within. On my last day, I bid my coworkers farewell and wished them the best. I'm still close with a few of them, and in recent talks, I found out they shut the entire department down temporarily, as they were unable to find someone with the knowledge to run or train someone else on my machine in enough time. I'm loving it at my new job, love the people I work with even more. Running almost the same CNC machine I was at X company, and doing custom cabinets, rather than mass-produced pieces of shit where quality goes out the window. Was it wrong to leave like this? Sure. But they shouldn't have let the other two go as they did, and as soon as they did, they should have hired another person to train as my secondary. Now, here is the end of our first story, and I hope you guys are enjoying my content. So before moving to the next story, you guys can share your thought in the comments section about this greedy asshole boss and his owner, and the revenge OP took on them by closing the entire department. Also hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay tuned with us for more satisfying revenge stories. Now, moving to our second story. I consider myself a decent person and an above-average employee. I worked for a medical office directly under a doctor for almost 2 years and was consistently facing issues with him from the start. He was aloof, unhelpful, and didn't want to train or help establish protocol. Just wanted me to run everything and take the fall for anything that went wrong. He was married with children but flirted and slept with numerous patients and staff members. This isn't unheard of in this field, so I often just kept my nose down and tried to do my best at my job regardless of his after-hour activities. Problems started to arise more and more though as he hired people based on looks and his attraction to them versus their qualifications to do the job. I tolerated a lot of bullshit. But the last straw was when he wanted me to do some somewhat illegal activities financially, and when I refused, the games began. I could sense that he was unhappy with my unwillingness to do whatever he wanted me to willy-nilly, but didn't think he was upset enough to justify punishing me or trying to get rid of me in any way. Then literally all hell broke loose after a minor procedure I had him do for me. We were in good standing, or so I thought, and I thought nothing of having him do it at the time. What sucked royally is that he botched my procedure and caused permanent damage. That wasn't even the worst part, the way he dealt with it was. Instead of apologizing and offering to make it right, which I'm pretty understanding, and would have accepted, he denied anything was even wrong or had happened under his care. He went into total cover-ass mode and methodically started to try to get rid of me without firing me, as it would definitely be wrongful termination, and the tension was becoming unbearable more and more each day. I was hoping he would make it right and we could move on, but instead every day was full of scrutiny of my choices and work, and even a write-up for a minor offense that I had no prior warning about. I could see the writing on the wall and realized he was going to wash his hands of me as quickly as possible to preserve his precious reputation, which I could definitely disrupt now with his mistake with me. I noticed shortly after while on a planned vacation he was advertising for my job. I decided to quit then and there instead of being fired. I was trying to fix the botch before quitting and hoping he would help financially. Nope, not gonna happen. Told him I was quitting and since we were under very abnormal circumstances that I would not be offering my typical 2-week notice. He was pissed. He was late with my last paycheck in which he sent a snide letter telling me he was done with me and my care with him. I noticed that the check was short for 2 sick days I had taken after the botch. I had a ton of sick pay left and didn't even give it a second thought until now and thought maybe he just forgot to add it. Nope, he responded curtly saying I hadn't accumulated enough time to pay for the days. I asked to see proof of that because I knew I had enough time. He changed the accumulation date to another month and said tough luck, wasn't going to pay. I told him blatantly that this was wrong and that I would have to report it to the labor board if he couldn't show me proof. He just bullied me back and insisted it is what he says it is and again tough luck. He even said to quit contacting him about it or he would report me for harassment to law enforcement, so I went to the labor board. I brought in my contract and asked them about numerous questionable offenses. They couldn't believe how many skewed things were actually going on that I had accepted because I didn't know or he had convinced me otherwise. They had me file for all of the offenses and said they would send us both a letter letting us know the mediation date. Got the letter in the mail from the labor board and almost fell over dead right then and there. What was originally a $275 offense with the other minor claims, and now penalties added from the labor board, the total was now $6,500. I laughed hysterically and couldn't believe it at first. I thought about him receiving the same letter that day and just reveled at the thought admittedly. Keep in mind he didn't know at this point that I had actually gone to the labor board as I promised. He didn't think I would do it, he thought he had won up to this point. Mediation day rolls around and he sits across from me with the mediator there and is steaming under the pressure now. We both share our sides, which he lied about numerous things of course, and then we talk separately with the mediator. She explains to me that my case may be hard to prove, being somewhat he said, she said. She encourages me to kind of take whatever he offers. Before leaving the room with her, I bring up one more thing to her that I was unsure of, and didn't ask about before. It involved him not paying overtime, and she lit up like a damn Christmas tree. Bingo. With that type of offense and me being able to show verifiable proof, he would have to pay the penalties starting at $6,000 and whatever the judge added after that. She went and told him of this new claim, and he fumed out of the building saying I shouldn't be able to add anything at this point, and that he needed to speak with his lawyer. I get a new claim in the mail with the added offense weeks later. The total is now $9,600. I die again laughing and just basking in the thought of him getting this new claim. There was no contact from him this whole time, but now suddenly there is an email sent to me in the sweetest tone I've ever heard him speak. He pleaded with me that he never meant to withhold anything from me and that he would like to settle all this peacefully outside of the court. Of course, he would, I thought to myself. I forwarded the email to our mediator and told her that I did not want to respond and asked her to deal with him and let him know I wanted to continue the no contact he requested earlier. Weeks go by and we are creeping closer to a court date. Suddenly the offer rolls in $4,000 and he will settle. I was set on $5,000 because of all the hassle I had to go through up to this point. I told the mediator to tell him nope, $6,000. Silence for another week or two. Then the offer of $5,000 comes. That was my number, so I waited a couple days just to shake him up a bit more and the mediator let him know I'd accept it. I received the payoff within a week and then I got to wash my hands of him in the end. He thought he could cheat me and bully me as I'm sure he has gotten away with it in the past. I gave him a swift lesson that could have just cost him $275 to do the right thing. But now I'm going on a vacation to Hawaii and will sip a Mai Tai on his dime for trying to take back what I had rightfully earned and more. Now, here comes to the end of our today's video, and I hope you enjoyed this satisfying revenge OP took on his greedy and power-tripping boss. In my opinion, he is a horrible person for what he has been doing his entire life to all those patients and staff around him, and he deserved more than this. but at least he got something. Guys, I want to hear your thought about this story in the comments section, and the horrible boss. Also, before you leave, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell to remain updated on more fantastic stories.